again, T1 can find themselves up a draft edge. I do want to point out that, interestingly enough, the two worst theme champions, the Aatrox and the Rakan, were indeed the worst performing champions in the last game. So, weird how that works. But now we are in the draft phase. T1 banning Syndra.
Yeah, on blue.
On blue, also banning LeBlanc. And SANDBOX banning away Lucian and Akali.
Yeah, all stuff or champions that you might expect here in the bans, but the positioning and the teams that actually banned them is a bit surprising. Specifically on T1 side, the Rumble gonna get banned out as well. They don't want to deal with that defensive equalizer that ate up their aggression, I suppose, is one way to put it. Either way, Rumble very popular, and looks like Summit was pretty comfortable on that champion, especially in the lane in the top side against Kana's Aatrox, as Rek'Sai gets banned out and MF makes her way in.
So MF is going to be picked up first here by T1 SANDBOX. We'll see how they end up responding with this. And Varus being hovered right now. He is going to be locked in.
Oh, is it Timmy?
Don't. No, stop.
Is it Timothy? Timothy Kench?
All right.
Not yet.
Not yet, anyway. Elise going to be hovered.
It's going to be Braum. I have a feeling against the MF.
I'll walk out.
Walk out. Oh, we've had one play-by-play solo cast already. We may need to get the other one too.
It's time. Yeah, it's time for me to allow you to do the honors. All right, this okay. Varus is 10-10 right now. Ooh. This is about to decide if he needs a buff or not. That's exactly that's what's on the line this game. So, SANDBOX, they lock in the Elise. T1 now responding with Jarvan.
Yeah. Jarvan, very interesting. Another champion that can set up team fights, can obviously force aggression, but just in general, his Cataclysm can be even used defensively just to group up the enemy team and then EQ out. But alongside of the MF and Nautilus, already it's looking like T1 want to get pretty aggressive and are showing their cards here in the first 3 picks of the draft.
So they end up picking up the Nautilus. Now, the Nautilus is able to be flexed mid and support, although you should probably just end it or have it go support.
Oh,
Summit. Going to probably get the Aatrox for himself. Maybe now we'll see Aurelia ban end up coming in, as well as a Mordekaiser on the side of SANDBOX. That'll probably just be their 2 bans. Now, if you're T1, watch them ban something like Tahm Kench and Braum, because,
yes,
you know, what good is...
Yes! Yes! Now, the Braum, I understand. Varus Braum, okay. It's really good also just in general against the bullet time. You can shut it down, right? But I don't think they're actually going to ban the Tahm Kench. I think they're going to ban something else.
Just wait.
No, that was my original thought.
Let's get the... Okay, it's Camille. Okay, so it's not Mordekaiser.
That might be a read on what Kana can play. What kind of...
It could, yep.
What kind of a champion pool he has. Because there's a lot of champions. You mentioned Mordekaiser. There's Fiora also. So, probably just a read on Kana.
Or Leona. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah, see, it wasn't Tahm Kench. It was Leona.
I really hate everything.
First
right
pick.
Now.
First pick, Tahm Kench. Please.
Now. Here it comes.
I mean, they want to hold the counter pick, so they will pick support here. Varus, Tahm Kench, it's a way to disengage, and that is what they are going to go for. Locked in.
Can we just pick Zyra?
Timothy.
Can T1 just locate the Zyra key and win the game right now? That's the big question. She eliminates all 4 champions on SANDBOX right now.
So I asked you this question before.
Zyra.
Maybe they picked Tahm Kench because they know.
Okay. Well, hold on. I saw a glimmer of light.
Yeah, the karma.
I saw something
like, ooh, okay.
that was going to actually be good right there. But T1, instead, they're actually going to lock in the Orianna. So they're going to pair that with the Jarvan. Orianna, one of the better safe blind pick mages right now. Is that a Jace is being hovered. 5 seconds remaining. We'll see if they end up locking him in.
And they will.
And so the reason for the Orianna is because she's good into some of the mages that are still remaining. Most notably Cassiopeia and Ryze, whereas Syndra has already been banned away, as has LeBlanc. So there's very few options that are still going to exist that are against Orianna, unless you just elect to ignore the laning phase, which is what SANDBOX are trying to do here with the Qiyana pick. I'm really sad. You know, T1, they recently picked up Tolki. I hope that I'm pronouncing that ID right. And to my knowledge, he's a Magic the Gathering player.
Okay.
I think I've actually talked with him. I think he even plays Legacy, which is the oldest Magic format. So, getting a little flustered. My drafting is, going on this way. So,
yeah.
T1, they had options to recalibrate their draft into having more mages, more long-range, disengage type champions, and invalidate the Aatrox and the Tahm Kench, because Aatrox doesn't deal well when the enemies outrange him and kite backwards.
We saw that.
We saw that in game number 1. We've seen it in many games. Tahm Kench doesn't do anything when he's being bombarded by arrows over and over and over.
Or just in general.
Or just in general. Thank you, Valdez, for that one. And they already had really long range and a mid-rangey kind of jungler inside of the Jarvan, so they could have done that, but instead, they're going to choose to fight fire with fire, and this is really scary, considering in game number 1, with such a mountain of a team composition, no pun intended, they managed to make it crumble.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see if T1 have gathered their mental going into game number 2, after that loss up against SANDBOX here, hopping onto the Rift right now. No fan chants here from ULSAN, although I'm sure they're going on. We are just getting the game sounds here, as definitely it looked like with effort in the lineup, they were a lot more comfortable on stage. We'll see if that actually does show on the Rift, as Jarvan going to type in the chat, hey guys, I just picked up 5 gold. Thank you very much. And they actually swept out that ward as well, so extra bunch of gold coming in. Ooh, Teddy gets slowed up here. And they're not going to continue.
Does
into
chunk
that brush.
Quite a lot of his HP, though. But he's going to be just fine. He's recalled early enough so that he's not going to arrive or have any of his openings be interfered with. And when we look at both of these team compositions, obviously SANDBOX, they want to make sure that, again, just like in game number 1, the responsibility on them is to get ahead, or is it? Maybe it's to let T1 get ahead and feel overconfident. Maybe they have the high ground. We're not quite sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked before.
So, on Fleek, he's going to end up starting his blue buff. Mountain Dragon's going to be the first one of the game. So, pretty lackluster Dragon. I think that's the worst first Drake. By
Mountain
far.
Drake?
Mountain, I think, is by far the worst.
Is it just based on the fact that it gives you these
gives
percentages
you, like,
to
3
bonus
armor
resistances?
and 1 magic resist, typically.
It's bonus resist, right?
No, I think it's total.
Total? Okay.
I'm a caster.
What do you mean?
Coach caster, by the way.
Coach, caster, and content creator.
Yeah.
The 4 C's.
The 4 C's.
Yeah. Cuz is level 2 with double buff.
Ooh, this is going to work.
Oh, let's see if it does. Going to try to line that one up. The knockback is going to get Summit over to the side, who is able to flash away from that one. Successful gank, and the fact that they do get that summoner out there. And now Cuz will just go on his merry way.
And Cuz just running around right now, level 2. He doesn't know that he's going to be on top of a ward right now, and this could be... Okay, well, it looks like Elise actually doesn't have any intentions to kite. Well, now she does. Oh, if Cuz gets hit by a cocoon, but Fate did just take a bit of damage.
Oh, and that's going to hit the cocoon through the Raptors, and down he will go on a ward, and that is not the greatest start for T1, as Cuz is going to get knocked down. Great follow-up ward. You know, they scanned that area, and I think that's part of the reason why Cuz was like, hey, maybe I could come in here and sneak this away. But that was not the case, as they were able to trick him into a dangerous spot and take the kill.
Well, T1 now obviously starting off a lot rougher than in the previous game. Elise, I mean, Cuz even pathing over to left-hand side Scuttle, he's going to get the bad news in a second. No.
Oh, no. Oh, boy, Cuz this is really unfortunate for you, as it is huge for SANDBOX. They're going to pick up 2 kills with both going to Kiana and the assist going to Elise.
So even though Fate doesn't have his flash available, there's no kill there. Even if Jarvan ends up landing the EQ, unless Fate would end up making a really big mistake. And OnFleek is just putting a clinic on Cuz this game. He's pretty on point with his punishes right now. Left side Scuttle Crab into Raptors, into falling back. This is beautiful pathing out of OnFleek as a follow-up. Some junglers might just go over to right side Scuttle Crab, then start their Gromp, then go to their Wolves. That wouldn't obviously be as optimal. And now Gorilla and Leo, they're in a perfect position to just actually recall. They're taking some time with it, and I actually like what they did there. They back up just far enough to maybe ask Effort if he wants to come forward with a Q.
Yeah.
And if he would, OnFleek, he would be on time.
And pretty on fleek, you'd have to say, if it did happen, as he'd have potentially 3 assists. Fate here, level 5. Not quite on level 6, but he already has that Dirk to start himself off. Going to put in a very deep control ward, trying to get more and more vision onto Cuz and really shut out this Jarvan jungle. Just able to get priority in the mid lane and scoot on over there. Although seeing that pathing back into the mid lane, they might be able to communicate that. And yes, Cuz will say, thank you very much for the information, Faker Hyung. I'm going to clean out this control ward. Probably was going to check the brush anyway, just to make sure he wasn't getting ganked again, as the Elise would love to do, who, by the way, she's here again. And Cuz, oh boy, is not able to get that one, as OnFleek coming back here, going to clean out the ward. And this is a game where actually a lot is happening in the early game. The first one, we were just sitting back and we were like, wow, this is perfect for T1. They can just sit here and, you know, scale on up. But fighting fire with fire, so far the fire of SANDBOX is looking much stronger in game 2.
Yeah, and I mean, it's much more equipped to do so, which is why it's so interesting that T1 calibrated their, or not even calibrated, just nosedived their draft on 4-5, and oh man.
Oh, he's out of vision.
They don't know. Just out of vision right now. And he canceled
stayed
again.
Oh, now they saw him. Oh, because. Not sure that they can dive, though, onto 2. Because just sticking around and a lot of time spent by 3 players up there in the top side of the map.
And Fate actually lost about, he might have lost 200 gold just in minions that ended up going into the void there that Faker was able to get. And now Faker has the wave coming into him. The problem right now is Faker's monopool. He needs Cuz to path directly to mid right now, who's level 3 at 7 minutes, by the way. This is an absolute nightmare.
No catch-up XP, by the way.
There's no catch-up XP in the game right now. So when you fall behind in the jungle, which is another argument against Sinner junglers, that it is so hard to come back because you will never find the XP. And then if you're behind and your laners fall behind, they're going to start taking your jungle camps, and you're just going to fall further and further and further behind, which is why champions like Elise, champions like Lee Sin, or any junglers that have an obligation to get a lead, it is very dicey. Normally, Jarvan, or, well, even fortunately here for T1, he's a jungler that can function on low economy. His kit is so useful just with the EQ and the Cataclysm that it's not important for him to have gold per se, but being this far behind this early on, I mean, he just dinged 4. Elise is 6.5.
Yeah.
This is looking very rough.
Oh, and, well, speak of the devil, Elise is back again. Doesn't really have that much damage, though. Gets a combo off onto Cuz, who will be able to get away. But just doing a nice amount of damage afterwards. We have Cloud Drake up next, which means that, well, we talked about this in game number 1. The 2 Drakes, the Dragon Souls you do not want to go up against. Infernal and Ocean, it will be one of them for potentially SANDBOX here with the lead that they have garnered for themselves in the early game.
And so if you're a SANDBOX fan, what you want to see is Ocean be rolled next. That would make it so that Kiana and Atrox are just immortal as they try to dive into the enemy team. And the other problem that T1's facing is because of what they selected on B4, B5 inside of the draft, they ended up countering themselves in some ways. Your Nautilus is invalidated by the Tahm Kench. Your Jarvan doesn't have as much ability going into the enemy team composition because of how nimble they are, but also your follow-up is just so wonky. And also, what is Jace?
Ooh, Jace trying to clear out the wave, and he's going to get cocooned on Fleek. Is on Fleek again, going to hand over that kill over to Summit, and just baited into that one. Really nice pathing from Summit to make it as not obvious as possible. And then on Fleek, just able to get in there in spider form with the extra speed and lock down the kill.
And this is definitely a scary situation right now for T1. They're falling further and further behind.
Ooh, trying to engage here. They don't really have the damage to take out on Fleek, though, but at the end of the day, okay, the stun is going to come down onto Faker here. Fate, again, the Ignite comes in, but the Q misses, and that is going to be the one thing that keeps Faker alive. Didn't even have his W up, so just able to dodge out of that one with no boots and no speed up. Somehow, Faker able to stay alive.
And now he's going to try to return into the lane, but honestly, this game is looking so doomed right now. Jace is a champion that requires that he's almost always ahead of his opponents, otherwise he doesn't do anything. And so for him to be behind an Atrox here, yeah, T1 basically has 2 champions right now. They have the Orianna and they have the Misfortune, both of which are not in good spots. And when you think about team fights, they don't really even have a whole lot going for them. Elise is 7.5, Cuz is level 5. I mean, things are just really, really bad right now. If you are a T1 fan, we assume that SANDBOX is going to be the one that gets the Cloud Dragon here in 2 minutes. And from that point, what is really going to be the options from T1 other than to just permanently play defensive? But they have Olaf in top lane, essentially. Because Jace is going to add nothing.
They might not have him anymore. The predict on the flash on Fleek has shown up to play today. He got energized from game number 1. He's feeling it, too. Comes into the beginning of game 2, shuts down the jungle, and now he's shutting down poor rookie Kana in the top lane.
Now, at this point, there's really not all that much that the other laners for T1 can do. Darvin just fell so far behind early on, and the investment that he made with the level 2 gank onto Summit just didn't pay off. It really is also a top lane discrepancy this game. So one of the initial questions that we had coming into this series is, where was Kana going to stand up to Summit, or in what regards could he? And like you mentioned right there, really good by OnFleek with the cocoon landing onto Kana. This game is really all but over, because with an under-leveled Jarvan not having any base stats, not having any items, he's trying to go into Cinder Hulk, but he bought double Ruby Crystal. So he's still ways away from his jungle item. He has to get the Bomby Cinder, then he has to upgrade the jungle item. Elise is already on her way to her second item, and she has Sork Pen boots. There's no magic resistance on T1. So if OnFleek picks up an Oblivion Orb here soon, because she's the only source of magic damage on the side of SANDBOX, Elise is going to true damage everyone on the side of T1. So this game is looking extremely rough.
Yeah, we have seen teams, specifically in this series, throw from big leads against teams that can kind of do crazy wombo combo stuff in team fights. But I feel like it's a little bit easier to pilot the Rumble and the Misfortune. But let's see how that true damage comes into effect. Not quite there, but it's going to be enough to kill her anyway. As trying to get over the wall is on fleek. So they get the 1 kill. Teddy, he's in a sad game of solo queue right now, man. He's just sitting in the bottom lane trying to farm up. Support running in, dies. His whole top side of the map just dying over and over. He hasn't even gotten the chance to fight in this game, as it's just been all farming in the bottom side. And the push is continuing down here. SANDBOX with a massive lead already. Over 4,000 here at 13.5 minutes. And this is the moment of truth. Which Dragon Soul will it be? It will be the Ocean coming on in. So you mentioned that would be a big one for especially the Kiana and the Aatrox diving on into the team fights. They, once again, will roll really nice RNG, just as SKT did, or T1. T1 did in game number 1.
Well, Ocean is exactly what SANDBOX does want. And if you're a T1 fan right now, you're not even thinking about being able to contest a team fight until 16 minutes from now or so. And maybe even more. It might be 31, 33 minute mark, given that their laners and junglers are unnaturally behind.
And the Elise sneaks into the brush. That is a dead as hell misfortune. On fleek is just all over the map right now. Like, how did he even get down there that fast? Picking up those early tier 2s and picks up another effective gank. Good play by Leo as well to get that one started.
Feels quite bad.
There's that Oblivion Orb you were talking about.
There's the Oblivion Orb. And from here, I mean, Elise is at 7 stacks on Darksteel. Definitely can just pick up Magi's Soulstealer next, because 1 kill will put her into the threshold to have the other passive be activated by Magi's. You take a look at this. Flash chains, and I like how they set it up. Tom Kench moving away probably makes Teddy in effort feel a little bit more safe than they otherwise would. And
yeah,
don't anticipate what was coming right there. So this game, T1 are down 6,000 gold. You have a Jace with a Yumu's Ghostblade, so he's not scaling. There's no Black Cleaver. There's no amplification that he's going to give for his teammates. It's an individual Jace build, when Jace is honestly just an anchor right now. He's actually the iceberg that sunk the Titanic.
Jeez. And, well, poor Kana. We've seen a lot of him. We talked about the Camille ban. I actually checked his stats once again. He did play the 1 game of Camille. He lost on it, but he was great on the Aatrox. He had 2, well, I say that before today. His play on the Aatrox wasn't so fantastic, but he had 2 wins on the champion. And now it feels like SANDBOX have just taken away 2 of his options, 2 of his main options, so he had to dig into his champion pool. And his Jace has not been looking too hot. As, okay, nice little dodge there. Trying to turn this one around. Do they have the engage? No! The Kiana gonna immediately turn it around as T1 thinking they're getting the 2-on-1, but they got the bonus Kiana that they did not want. And at least the rest of them will get away, but SANDBOX are just making this look like a game of solo queue now, just styling on them in every single lane.
Yeah, it's such a clean game right now. It's actually a perfect game, unless you don't count turret plates going down. But so far, SANDBOX are just running away with it. And honestly, there's no insurance policy in this game. There's really nothing. Now, unless SANDBOX goes full T1 and walks into MF Ultimate Point Blank, followed by a 4-man, 5,000 MMR Orianna Shockwave.
Wow.
I don't think that there's a way back into this.
200 IQ, maybe?
200, maybe 500, maybe 5D chess.
We might need that.
Maybe 5D judo chess. Do you know what that is?
I know about chess boxing. I don't know about judo chess.
Judo chess is when I believe that it only exists online, and
really?
Pieces have cooldowns that are about 3 seconds, and you can make unlimited moves as fast as you can. Legal moves.
That sounds pretty broken, but interesting.
It's
I think I'd have
really
to see
fast.
it.
It's chess without turns.
Okay.
But the pieces have cooldowns that are like 3 seconds long. But you can only make legal moves. So we're going to take a look at the replay here.
They saw the Kiana.
Yeah,
Didn't they?
So T1 had absolute knowledge of what was capable of happening, and yet opted into this anyway. This is very akin to the Kana jumping into the backline when he saw all 4 of the champions. T1 are definitely going full Leroy Jenkins. in this series so far.
When Effort came into the lineup, I saw after game 1 they looked just kind of awkwardly silent. You know, nobody was saying a thing. They were just staring at their monitors, kind of shuffling around. But then when Effort came in at the beginning of game 2, I was like, hey, these guys, you know, they look like they have their heads up. Effort's got a smile on. It looks like they're ready to go into the next game. But I think after the way that the jungle matchup went early on in this game, all of that, whatever positivity and great feelings they were having coming into game 2, perhaps were swiftly washed away by this Ocean Soul that may be coming up here soon from the side of SANDBOX.
Oh. SANDBOX just have one job right now, which is to start the Ocean Dragon and let SANDBOX
or
let T1 come into them.
Or Fate could go 1v5. Yeah, baby. And here it is! There's the big ultimates coming in. They're going to get a couple of flashes to get out of that one. And now SANDBOX in a bit of trouble. They have the TP on the Aatrox at least. So he could come back. T1 looking to make strides in this game. As SANDBOX say, we feel a bit bad. Here you go. Have some kills. Fate perhaps getting a bit excited. They'd love to take down this Ocean Drake, but the TP coming in from Aatrox, that was a big question mark in my mind. They're going to continue on it here. Cuz taking a bunch of damage. Summit over the wall, though. Here he comes. That's the big knockup, but he does have to stopwatch. Gorilla can't do much, but here's the damage on Fleek. Coming in for the back, and that's a 3-man knockup from Summit. And now they're just going headfirst into that one. Teddy putting on some style and moves, but it's not enough. Summit is just dancing beautifully all over this T1 team right now, and he's not stopping there. He's going to take out Faker and get the ace, and SANDBOX are making a statement here in Game 2.
And they get the ace. They did end up losing the Ocean Dragon, which is a little bit unfortunate because it means that Soul isn't being threatened, but Summit with an immaculate performance. I mean, we take another look at this. As Summit, he goes in man mode on Aatrox, ends up getting out the Hourglass, gets the reset.
This one.
Aided by Sir Thomas right there, and he's able to continue on. Manages to get the E over the red. That's actually an Aatrox Umbral Dash that a lot of people can end up failing if they don't execute it right mechanically, and then Faker, no mana, really just can't get away. And that's a prestige Aatrox if I ever saw one. It's an absolutely beautiful skin. When you're winning or losing, your opponents really recognize it as well. So, not sure.
They always recognize it. Always, for sure.
So, in this game, things are looking quite dark. As I don't know what Faker is building right now. He has an Aether Wisp, he has Seeker's Arm Guard, so not really building towards Zanya's Hourglass. He has the GLP as well on Orianna.
Oh, Kana.
And Kana is...
Kana. Yeah, it hasn't been too good of a look, I have to say, today.
Do that, I'll tell you that much.
From Kana here on the big stage. It looks like he is struggling a bit. That was a nice amount of minimum damage coming out from that extremely weak Shirley. That was saved until nearly the 22-minute mark. So SANDBOX, you can see just how far ahead they are, that they still had the Rift Herald here. And now they're going for the Baron, because why not when you are this far ahead? They could easily turn this one. Gorilla nicely tanky, in fact, with this Gargoyle Stone Plate first. Effort going to look for the hook. But there's that Kiana ultimate, and they're just going to be able to kite this one. Cuz trying to get on in there, but it's just desperation. Has to flash away. The Baron goes down at 22 minutes. And it would have been really nice if SANDBOX could also have picked up that Ocean Soul, 2.5 minutes later. But it's not going to be that clean in the win, but it looks like it still should be a pretty easy win from here for SANDBOX.
And interestingly enough, what we saw Fate doing is the exact role of what Faker should have been doing over the major key neutral last game. He was zoning with the Kiana. He used his ultimate to basically act as Gandalf and basically said, "You shall not pass," as T1, they didn't really have a way to contest the Baron anyway, but at least SANDBOX are playing correctly. I feel like in this instance, last game, what we saw is they would have just stopped the Baron and then charged at T1 or something. That's very akin to what T1 did last game, but SANDBOX, they're playing it very slow and steady, and it removes options from the enemy. It really just cuts them off at the knees and says, we don't need to actually fight you. We'll let the map do it for us. And now with the Baron...
All right, well, okay, nice little read there, and they have 5 members on 1, so that will be the kill onto Aatrox. Trying to rotate into the mid lane, though, might just be a trade of a kill for an inhibitor, but... You could argue that this was going to go down anyway, and they rotate over as 5 and actually deny it for now. So a nice little win there, I suppose, for T1. Whatever they can get at this point is good for them.
SANDBOX just fixing up their side lane. 50 seconds until the Ocean Dragon ends up coming up. T1, they are down 9,000 gold right now. Exactly, almost. As they're probably just waiting for Summit to respawn. They won't do anything too reckless. So we're not going to have the game end on this Baron. It's likely going to take one more. And so if you're a T1 fan, that does still mean there's a glimmer of hope in this game. So again, if SANDBOX go full Leroy Jenkins into the Misfortune and the Orianna, there's a Jim Carrey chance going on in this.
So you're saying there's a chance. I wonder how many of our viewers haven't seen that movie, actually.
I've never actually seen it.
Oh, really?
I haven't seen it.
Wow.
I'm not a boomer.
What? What do you mean? That was popular when you were of the age to watch those kind of movies.
Absolutely not of the age.
Watch
the one SANDBOX fan in the audience right now is nodding his head in disgust.
I don't even know what to say. Yeah, of course. What do you mean?
I've gone back and watched some of the older movies.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you miss them or you watch them when you were like 6. And it's like, okay, I don't remember this.
Some movies were done so well despite being...
Oh, nice little move by Faker. And in fact, the poke is coming out here from Jace. I forgot they had a Jace, but it looked okay on the backside with all the lethality he's got. Able to poke on through there. And that is going to, in fact, stop the push. SANDBOX are backing as a 5-man unit.
And so T1 did buy themselves quite a lot of time by having got that Ocean Drake a while ago, because if SANDBOX had the Ocean Soul right now, they could just laugh at absolutely everything on the side of T1 and just charge at them. But instead, everything is going to slow down. And so... interestingly enough, we're going to have to wait until the next Baron. And I want to actually highlight this as a gross example of just how obnoxious a team composition like the SANDBOX one is, in that it can be ahead 10,000 gold, up 3 dragons, and still be incapable of actually cracking or penetrating defenses of a team composition that has AoE wave clear, has some scaling champions on it. And then there's still people out there that look at it like, this is normal. This is okay.
Yeah.
My Elise can 4-level the enemy jungler and be up so many kills, and all the laners are bleeding, 5 plates up in top, and here we are.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait a bit. And in fact, you were talking about the glimmer of hope. It it went from tiniest little glimmer to slowly it's getting brighter and brighter. It's like a star that's slowly coming towards Earth.
I would say there's like a 10% chance T1 can win this game.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 in 10 team fights or something. Orianna and MF really do get the miracle.
They still have that miracle kind of composition, right? With ball carriers out the wazoo and lots of poke.
Yeah. So, but it does require SANDBOX to misplay at this point, especially in a wide open area. All SANDBOX have to do, wait 40 seconds, burst the Baron, have Kiana zone the same exact way that she did the first time, and then go from there. You get the Baron, use the Baron to convert it into Ocean Soul. Once you have Ocean Soul, there's no way that you're losing the fight.
Well, we'll see if this line of play that we have highlighted in multiple games now that seems to be quite simple and straightforward. If SANDBOX can actually stick to the plan and put an end to this game. I like what they're doing with trying to deny as much vision in the blue side as possible. The blue side blue buff around the Baron that is about to spawn. Take a look at the positioning right now of the Qiyana on the minimap. She's going to be looking for that flank. They also have TP for Summit. A lot of the wards, though, have been cleared for TP wards, so that is why Qiyana was in that position. But now moving in towards the middle. She's extremely fast, as you guys can see, with her Moby boots. Just going to be looking for that engage on Fleek. Actually, does have to be careful.
And yeah, they're posturing, but look at that damage. So it's just going to be a little bit of a dance, but T1, even though they have one Ocean Dragon, it doesn't equal that much region right now. I mean, just look at their HP bars right now. It's not really, it's not quite moving all that much.
No.
And so now Baron's just, it should just be able to be started right now. They have an excellent clear speed on it.
They have a blue ward. Okay, going to drop that down. Faker gets the vision.
Fate is actually hiding. So SANDBOX seem like they're keen to invite them in. Oh, and this will give Fate a flank.
Okay, looking for it now. It's going to sum up a couple of them, but Qiyana takes a lot of damage. The Cataclysm comes in, but where is the follow-up? It looks like it's all Jace in the backline, but Faker also getting killed in the backline as Fate also going to make his way over the wall and take out Faker there. It is only Kana who, it felt like almost SANDBOX were ignoring him, but he ended up doing a decent amount of damage at the end of it all, as now the pings are coming out. Let's get the Ocean Soul. That's the big objective on the map now.
So basically T1 decided that that was going to be do or die, because the only option is you either take this team fight or you wait for the enemy to have Baron and then take it at Ocean Soul.
Yeah.
And so they elected to try to make their stand right there, but they weren't going to be able to do anything. Jace obviously not going to be in time. We're going to take a look at the replay. So interestingly enough, SANDBOX absolutely could have bursted that and just tried to lock up Jarvan, but instead they took a team fight, and you can see that it was still a little bit risky. Jace doing a lot of work. Faker almost got the ult off onto Fate. I believe he would have died, and that would have ended up just being a 4 for 3. So it still would have been favorable for SANDBOX, but definitely a lot closer than it needed to be. However, with this Ocean Soul now, I think that that's all that she wrote, Valdez.
Yep, you can just kind of ram your face into the Baron and once again try to bait T1 into this one. It was kind of questionable, you know, the Orianna ultimate never actually went down. We'll see if he can make it happen this time around as he gets it back. It hits only the Aatrox as Effort trying to get in there, and take a look at those health bars on the side of SANDBOX. They're not going down right now, whereas T1 are just desperately trying to get into one of these fights, but it is not going to happen.
Do the Baron.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what everyone's thinking right now. Just
it seems like OnFleek and Leo got that message.
Yeah. They're trying to.
Summit and Gorilla, they don't do the most damage. They're just trying to zone them out for now. Fate looking to come on in. Summit not really getting that big engage, but they just have so much damage. And it doesn't even look like they take any damage.
Man.
Big combo onto the Aatrox. He has GA and he has a Tahm Kench.
Why would he do that?
And yeah, that is a bit questionable. And they still haven't taken the Baron. But again, they still have Ocean Soul, so they're just trying to win the sustain war here. As Faker now, no mana, would love that blue, but it is not going to happen. Gets the knock up onto Elise, but immediately disappears.
The upside, though, is that they do end up getting Cousins, so now, without a jungler, without any sort of spellbook shenanigans present on T1, SANDBOX know they're going to be able to just get this dragon and then close the game. But I really do want to continue to emphasize, this is a 10,000 gold lead with Ocean Soul, and these fights are turning into dances.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a very, very scary thing to be witnessing. The score's 5-18. Elder coming up in 3.5 minutes, and that's if SANDBOX somehow can't end the game with this Baron, which they should definitely be able to do.
That is what they're going to aim to do. As Summit is pushing down mid, 4 members up in the top lane. And the push is coming in. OnFleek taking a bit of damage. And they are not committing, actually, just yet. They're actually going to all back away with this Baron. They say we're not ready to go for the push just yet. And perhaps it's because they're stacking a lot of gold. I think Aatrox just bought a full item, if I'm not mistaken. Bunch of item completions and stopwatches come out, so maybe they're just going to regroup and go for a follow-up push. We take a look at the replay.
And it was just Cuz basically dying, but it was after a lot of stalling and dancing where, I mean, you saw what ended up happening. Summit gifted his Guardian Angel over to T1. He spit himself out. And you can tell that he was the one that was choosing it because Tom's face was, I believe, facing the other way as Summit came out the other side. So a little bit unfortunate right there that he's down the Guardian Angel. But meanwhile, in live, you can still see SANDBOX posturing, waiting for... I don't know if they're actually feeling like they need to wait for Elder Dragon, but this is very, very surprising, and it's just giving T1 more and more time to get online. When we start reaching these gold values, some of the items start becoming irrelevant. Like, when you just start getting recipe component items, when we're talking about 4 items deep plus, sometimes it doesn't really mean that much. And sometimes just better teamfight positioning will end up winning you the game. So the gold score in the next 5-6 minutes or so is sort of going to become meaningless. As T1, they just are struggling to hold on right now, but they're managing to do so. 1 minute left on the Baron, which means that it won't persist into Elder.
Yeah. Especially with wombo combo teamfight compositions. If you get that big engage, we've all seen it happen in your solo queue games. We've seen it happen even in pro games where, you know, one big Orianna shockwave and all of a sudden, you know, bullet time comes in and the game is back in their favor. As the push is coming down mid, they are going to use this Baron to at least get one objective. Faker really struggling to find any place to put that shockwave as the spread from SANDBOX is quite beautiful.
Basically, all that SANDBOX has to do is maintain wide concaves whenever trying to approach T1. If they can get an approach from multiple angles, it'll...
Yeah, bit of a sombrero there, if you will. But again, you know, trying to perhaps... I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's trying to clear the wave so that they can save the turret as the Baron was about to go down. Orianna ultimate can be on a bit of a low cooldown, but SANDBOX to say, we don't necessarily need that Baron. Let's push in now. As the bullet time is going to come in now, OnFleek takes a bunch of damage. The engage finally comes in. Ultimate onto her. Summit trying to get over there, and he will just barely, but we're beginning to see it. The little sparkle getting brighter and brighter. T1 slowly taking some of these fights to SANDBOX after calculated plays. As that was... Oh, boy. This is, well, they got caught in here. Big shockwave into the Cataclysm, but there's just no follow-up. No bullet time, no Jace, and they got caught in this one. Kind of unfortunate. Was looking forward to their comeback, but I'm not sure it's going to happen as Fate now is coming over the wall, trying to smack T1 in the face and show them that this is their fate. But Teddy's still full health here. Let's see what they can do. SANDBOX going for the finishing push. They're up 14,000 gold, and they want to end it right now. Trying to clear the minions are T1. Not sure that they can really do it. They're Faker not able to do it. Teddy flashing away, trying to kite them here. The stopwatch is going to come in. Faker, oh no, Teddy is going to go down. Faker not going to find that engage. No shockwave, and that is going to do it. SANDBOX take game number 2.